Hi everyone, this is Lisa Barr from messagesfromtheotherside.net. Today is Sunday, June 2nd, 2019, and I've been called to do something a little different today. I'm not going to be pulling a card from either Power Thought, affirmational cards or tarot cards. What Spirit wants me to do is talk about honoring your journey with grief, as well as honoring your loved ones who've passed away. I'm sorry, I've got allergies really bad today. Um, there's so much I want to say on this, and I'm not sure where to talk, where to go. I'm going to start with, oh, and by the way, if you haven't suffered um, a loss and you're watching this because you like the messages from spirits that have been coming through, especially using the tarot cards or the power thought cards and things that they want you to think about this week. What I want you to do is bear with me on this, okay? Because this is important for you to hear so that you can help family or friends or coworkers help them with their grief. And today I'm going to start with the fact that today marks 10 years since my mother passed away from pancreatic cancer. 10 years. I'm amazed that it's been 10 years. It doesn't seem like 10 years. And what I want for everyone to know is how we honor our own journey with grief is how we can honor our loved ones. Just know that wherever you are in your stage of grief, your loved ones are right there with you. And they're trying to help you process your grief in such a way to help you move forward in your life in a positive manner. I don't believe that we ever heal from grief. I believe that grief simply evolves. Your relationship with grief evolves. And I also, something else I was going to say on that. Oh yeah, I also don't think that you move on from grief. And I think it's insulting for somebody to say, get over it, which I recently had somebody do. I think you move forward the best way that you can. And our loved ones are here trying very hard to help us with that. And like I said, there was just a stupid person, a gentleman, who responded to an ad, a classified that I had. I was trying to sell something to make money for mortgage, and he was just very patronizing and decided to tell me all a bunch of just very patronizing, condescending jerk. And I said, look, I just responded, and one of my things in grief is I lost patience with people. I don't put up with crap. Now, I didn't really put up with crap very much before, but I was probably more polite about it. I wasn't very polite this time around. And I said, this isn't good. You don't do this to a widow. Oh, well, I didn't know you was widow. You just said a health crisis. And I said, and he just kept bugging me. And then he said, oh, well, I've suffered, I think he said he lost 2 wives and something like goes, you need to get over it. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, are you kidding me? Now, one, I don't think he has gotten over the losses, if indeed that is even true. But 2, you don't get over it. And it's not something you say to somebody else. And that's why I don't think that he was telling the truth. Because you wouldn't say that to somebody. You don't get over your grief. Just don't do that. It's insulting, especially to a widow or widower. I take that back, especially to anybody who's lost anything, or anyone. It's not something that you say to somebody. That's not very compassionate. It's callous. It's saying, I don't care about your loss. Just get over it, so I don't have to see it. Well, no, that's not good. And I think a lot of people, when, especially like colleagues or friends or even family, when they see someone talking about their loved ones who have passed away, and whether or not that brings up tears, which is perfectly fine, by the way, they think we're stuck. It's like, why do you have to keep talking about him or her? They're not here anymore. Can you just stop? No, that's a way of us honoring our loss. That's honoring our grief. That's honoring our love for that person. That's honoring our loved one who's passed away. Why on earth would you ask them to stop talking about them? And there's something, I follow Soaring Spirits on Twitter, and they are an organization that was founded by a widow who wanted to reach out to other widows and widowers and to let others know that they're not alone in this specific kind of grief, because being a widow or widower is very different from any other grief that you can imagine. And when they tweeted something a couple days ago, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, when we talk about our loved one, it doesn't mean we're stuck. It just means that we hold their memory near to our hearts. And so they're asking, remember them with us. And I said, exactly. And I said, and we don't want the world to forget that our loved ones existed. It's important for me to talk to anyone who will listen about Hank. He was such a kind, generous, hardworking, supportive man and husband, and he deserves to be remembered, not be forgotten. And I love to tell my story because I do believe true love exists, because I had it, and that's what I tweeted back. And it's interesting to note that when I walked down the street, I ran into a neighbor. I've only spoken to her maybe twice before in the almost 20 years we've lived here, but she's very nice. She retired several years ago. And we started talking, and now she knew, word gets around, she knew that my husband had passed away, and I wasn't actually sure if she did, but then the conversation went, and I went, oh yeah, she does know. And every time when I go for a walk, I bring a photo of my husband with me, so he can come, because we did the walks together. And if I run into anybody, I show them. It's important for me to do that. And there are times when I go for a walk in the hopes of meeting someone so that I can talk about him. I need to talk to people about him. And it's a way of honoring, like I said, it's a way of honoring my grief, because my grief, the depth of my grief is the depth of my love. And that's what I've always said. So I really wanted to talk to her about him, and I pulled it out and I started talking about him, and I teared up, and it made her think, and she mentioned her sister who had passed away something like 7 or 10 years ago. And so obviously she's still grieving, because she started tearing up. And when we both started tearing up, instead of letting ourselves express our love for the ones who passed away, she cut it off. I was just starting, I'm like, I want a gnat in here. I wanted to talk about him. And immediately, when I started crying, she goes, oh, no, and she started tearing up, and she said, oh no, we're going to get ourselves started. Let's, and she changed the subject. And I left that meeting so dissatisfied and so unfulfilled and so disappointed. And I I wish I could help her. I can't remember if I told her what I do, that I'm a medium. I've told a couple other neighbors and they all seem interested, but then I haven't heard from any of them. And but when I see someone 7 to 10 years down and they're still, it brings up tears to think about their loved one. To me, that means they haven't processed it. I want us to get to the point when we talk about our loved ones, it brings a tenderness and a smile to our face rather than bringing up tears. And tears are absolutely okay. I'm not saying tears are wrong, but I am saying that tears are your body's way of telling you that you're still processing your grief in such a way that it's still painful. Does that make sense? And it is still painful for me. However, we need to talk about it. So if you have a family member or a friend or a coworker, ask them about their loved ones. They want to talk about them. Now obviously don't ask them when they're in a hurry and they have a deadline with a project or anything, especially if they're a colleague. But if you have a moment, or if you're on breaks together or during lunch or anything, just ask them about their loved ones. Tell me about your husband. What did he like to do? Or what did he like to joke about? Or ask about their wife or their daughter, or what was she like? What kind of personality? And it may be difficult for somebody to open up to you about that, but you can always say, I'm curious, I want to give you my condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'd love to hear about them if you feel like telling me about them. And give them the opportunity to say, well, not right now, but maybe in the future. And then just say, okay, that's fine. And then wait to see if they start mentioning their loved one. And if they start mentioning them, go ahead and inquire and say, oh, they like that? That's really neat. Well, what else did they like to do? What else did they find funny? What else drove them nuts? Really participate in the conversation, but at the same time, what you're doing is you're giving them prompts to help them talk about their loved ones in a very safe, embracing environment. And then just listen. A lot of times that's all we need. We just want someone to listen. We want someone to witness our grief, because in witnessing our grief, you are witnessing our relationship and our love for each other. And that's what we need. We all live to be acknowledged and appreciated for who we are. And who we are is who we love, And if you can get to know who we loved, that's acknowledging that our loved one existed, and bringing that memory to us and helping us remember the funny things or the quirky things or our love. That's really, really important. However, like I said, tread a little carefully, especially with a colleague if you don't know them, but you can set the foundation for a safe haven for them to come to talk to you if they so choose. As well as if you, like I said, if they pick up on, or if you pick up on them mentioning, you can have these little prompts to help them remember and talk about their loved one, because in talking about their loved one, they are honoring their grief, their journey with grief, and they are honoring their loved one. So you don't have to set up a foundation. I know a lot of people get pressured. I was even pressured to do that, and I was only like 2 months, not even 2 months, well, maybe 3 months, into my grief. And someone, well, are you going to set up a foundation? You could do that. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm just trying to survive, literally survive. I'm trying to have enough food to eat, taking back things that I know, my son's allergic to, and I don't eat, but Hank ate, and I'm taking them back, returning them to Publix in order to get enough food get credit so we can buy food that we can eat. Okay, so setting up a foundation is, no. Don't feel pressured that you don't have to do something big like set up a foundation in order to honor your loved one. You don't feel pressured about that. And don't feel pressured about getting over it. You will never get over it. It's not something that heals. It simply evolves and you move on. You don't move on, you move forward. And hopefully you move forward in a positive manner, knowing that your loved ones are still with you and they're supporting you and encouraging you every step of the way, because they do want you to be happy. They do want you to find joy again in your life. They do want you to find love again. And it doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be, friendships or colleagues or there's all sorts of relational love that is available to us, and they want that for us. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is make a note this week of honoring your loved one, and that includes that every time that you think of them, you are honoring your loved one. Whether you light a candle, write a book, write in your journal, write a letter to them specifically, or set up a foundation, totally up to you, no pressure. But even just thinking about them and talking about them is honoring them. So whether, you set a table at the holiday or even set a table every night at dinner, that's a way of honoring them. And in honoring them, you honor your journey with grief. And it works both ways. So in honoring your journey with grief and being okay with where you are in whatever stage you're at, and again, you don't have to go through all the stages in any order. You can even skip a couple stages. Don't focus on the stages of grief. Don't focus on them. Just know that wherever you are in your grief journey, by honoring where you are honoring the love that you have for your loved one, and in so doing, you're honoring them as well. I hope this makes sense. I know this is a little longer video than usual, but Spirit told me that this was really important to talk about today. And probably next week I'll go back to the cards and all. And hang on just a second. Let's see. Okay, I just opened up this book. I said, let's just see. Something called me to open up this book. Right? The book of Healing Affirmations by Abby Wynn. And it says, when I am kind and compassionate to myself, I have more kindness and compassion to share with others. When someone upsets me, I realize that something in me needs to heal. So I can take a step back. But I like let's just go with that first one. When I am kind and compassionate to myself, I have more kindness and compassion to share with others. So this is just reaffirming the fact that have kindness and compassion with yourself on your journey with grief. And by doing that, you're honoring yourself. And by doing that, you're honoring your loved one who has passed away. And whenever you honor your loved one who's passed away, in whatever way you do it, even if it's just talking about them, with someone else, or even just thinking about them, oh, they'd love this, oh my gosh, they would think that was really funny. That is a way of honoring your loved ones. Okay, so don't worry about what you should or shouldn't do. Just honor where you are with your grief, and by doing that, you're honoring your loved one. Okay? All right, that's it. This is Lisa Barr from Messages from the Other Side.net. I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.